do you enhance your enjoyment? Or how do you feel better? How can you make feel better?
What happens is, Daivanetrena. Daivanetrena means by the superintendence of the demigods. There are 33 crores of demigods, 330 million demigods. The demigods are assistants to Krishna, and Krishna is the supreme boss. And all these demigods, they carry out his orders. And they take care of all the different things, like the running of this body, the airs. There's 10 types of airs in the body. Vayu, the demigod in charge of air, he's in charge of those airs. One air is for breathing, one air is for using hydraulic lifts, arms and legs. One air is for evacuating, another air is for digestion, another air is for the brain. So all these airs are very systematically controlled by the demigods. And when it's time, when the living entity's time is up in a particular body, the demigods, through the agency of the subtle body, namely the mind, intelligence, and the false ego, they carry the soul into his next body. What that means is, for example, let's say in the next lifetime the man is supposed to become a human again. So he'll be put, after this body, when he leaves this body, he'll be put into the seed, to the semina of a male human. And he'll be injected into a female, and that's his new body. Then he waits 7 months in the womb and he becomes conscious again. For 7 months he's unconscious. And he's conscious, now he knows, oh, I'm in an awkward position, he starts moving, then he comes out and he starts crying, and then that's all. You know what happens after that. So in other words, depending on his activities in this life, he gets a particular type of body. If he deserves a human body, he gets a human body. But let's say he lives like a dog. Some people live like dogs. So in the next life, he gets put into the semen of a male dog. He goes to sleep as a human at death and wakes up in a dog body. So his pleasure may vary. He was thinking that living like a dog would be more pleasure, less restrictions. We have so many restrictions for humans. You know, you can't do this, you can't. Dogs don't have so many restrictions. So he's thinking, let me be a dog. Or someone may be very pious. He wants to take his birth in the land of Indra, Indraloka. So he performs pious activities. His next life, he finds himself in Indraloka with a demigod body. He can live for millions of years and enjoy himself. But it's also temporary. It has to come to an end. It's like if you go to Hawaii with a credit card balance of $100,000, but after a while it's all exhausted and you have to go back home again. Fall down. So material pleasure, whether in the heavenly planets or in the lower species, it's not really pleasure for the soul. In fact, humans commit suicide more than animals. Animals generally don't commit suicide. But humans who are supposed to be more happy, but they also become possessed of more misery because of their higher intelligence and their misuse of it. A person who has intelligence and has opportunity and misuses it, he suffers more. So in other words, we should try to get out of this material entanglement. It's called samsara. Samsara means the cycle of birth and death. That's the goal of life. Get out of this samsara. How do we do that? Every morning we sing Samsara Dava Dalalita Loka Tranaya Karunya Ganaganatvam Praptasya Kayana Gunarnavasya Vande Guroshi Charanadavinda. Means the spiritual master is receiving benediction from the ocean of mercy. And just as a cloud pours water to extinguish a forest fire, so the spiritual master extinguishes the blazing fire of material existence. Therefore I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of such a spiritual master. That's the beginning of spiritual life, is to accept the Guru and take instructions from him.
Maharaj, one question. You mentioned the materialist person, he suffers and he dies, then take another body. Or those who are devotional service, those who are doing, he will also in the material life go through pleasure, or not, pain, all those things. But at the end, if you do devotional service, you won't take next birth. But again, in this present life, he also going through all the pleasure and pain in this material world. What is the much difference? After death, he will go to Krishna Long, or he might take a next birth.
Well, for example, someone like Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada was walking in this world, and he may have seemed to be like an ordinary person, but he was not an ordinary person. He was not experiencing the pains and pleasures of the material world. He was experiencing transcendental bliss at every moment. And those who associated with him, they experienced that this person is he's not feeling the same pains and pleasures. He's not feeling lust. When there's an object of lust, he doesn't feel lust. When he's praised, he doesn't become proud or elated. When someone disturbs him or insults him, he doesn't become angry. When someone threatens him, he doesn't become afraid. He's not afraid of death, and he's not interested in enjoying matter. He's only interested in serving Krishna. So when one's on the highest platform, then there's no more miseries in the material world. He's not experiencing that. He's experiencing pleasure on the spiritual platform. A crude example. Someone's driving, he's taking a ride on a train. And he's got his headphones on. So the train may make some screeching sound when it stops, and everyone's going like this. But he's not going like that, because he's absorbed in his own world of music. So he's not feeling the screeches and the pains and pleasures of material life. He's got his own world. That's a crude example, but the idea is he's plugged into the spiritual world. Krishna's there with him, and he's there in the spiritual world, even though he's walking in this material world. So, I may say, does that apply to all of us, to a lesser or greater degree, to the degree that we surrender to Krishna. To that degree we can experience that. And we're getting something, we're getting some experience of transcendental knowledge and transcendental bliss. That's why we continue with it. If we thought it wasn't working, we wouldn't keep doing it, would we? Unless we're foolish. We keep doing it because we're getting something. Question?
I have one question. How one person can attain a blissfulness state?
Can what?
How a person can attain a blissful state? Like how can a person be blissful all the time?
Become Krishna conscious. If you become Krishna conscious, all your problems are solved. Because Krishna takes care of everything. It's like if you're in prison for some wrong things you did. So now you're suffering. Now the governor comes to visit the prison. And he comes to your cell. He says, so what's your story? And you say, I realize I made a big mistake. I did so many things wrong. I've been in here for a long time. If I ever get out, I certainly won't do the same things I did before. And the governor says, you promise you won't do them? He says, yeah, I promise. So then he says, okay, you're free. So if you make that decision, I'm not going to engage in material activities anymore. I'm going to surrender to Krishna, I'll follow Krishna. Then you're free. Krishna says, Sarva Dharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Braja Am Tvam Sarva Bhapebhyo Mokshayashyami Moshaja. And you're indemnified. I think that's the right word. You're freed from all the reactions to your past deeds. But you're not supposed to do those mistakes again. Learn the lesson. Oh, I got in trouble by doing that. Now I don't want to do that anymore. And serving Krishna is so nice that you don't miss it. You don't miss the so-called things you gave up. Give up intoxication, give up gambling, give up illicit sex, give up meat eating. Those are actually things that are unnecessary and not sources of pleasure. But the material world is such a place where everybody's so much in illusion that they think those are the sources of the main pleasure. More meat, more illicit sex, more intoxication, more gambling. Now they have casinos in every city. When I was young, we only had casinos in Las Vegas and Reno. Now you've got them in every city practically. Because we want more gambling, more illicit sex, more intoxication. These are the things that cause us suffering. But instead, more chanting, more dancing, more feasting, more preaching, more serving Krishna. That's nice. That's what gives pleasure to the soul.
Prabhuji, what's the relation between the karma and life and death? For example, if the baby dies before he's born, is his karma is end there? What is that?
Living entity, when he comes into the material world, he starts his karmic activities. And according to his activities, he gets a particular type of body. And that particular type of body is destined to live for a certain period of time and allows him a certain amount of pleasure and suffering. So, when the soul is put into a body, he will get a certain amount of pleasure and a certain amount of suffering from that body. It's like someone who gets put into the body of a tree. Trees can live for 7,000 years. In Sequoia, in Northern California, there are trees that are living 7,000 years. So that's his body. He has to live in that body. He's trying to enjoy, he's getting some pleasure out of being a big, strong tree, the tallest tree, some pleasure. And he's living for a long time. We like to live. If we could live 7,000 years, we might think, well, that sounds pretty good. It's better than 100 years. But so you said if a soul is in the body of a child and the child dies before it's born, what happens? The soul lives and goes into its next body according to his karma. His karma, he's suffering the results of his past activities. So he didn't get a very long life in this child's body. Then he gets another chance, maybe human, maybe others. So it's a whole science, law of karma. It's very complicated. But karma can be wiped out if one surrenders to Krishna, because Krishna is in a position to wipe out the karma. Okay, you're free. Just like we said, the governor let the person free. The person was in the prison. But the governor was impressed. No, I think this person's sincere. Let him free. So then the karma is free.
Here I have one more question. So we have a belief, we shave the head from the babies after they're born, like 8 months or 10 months or 11 months after their birth. So your soul moves from one body to other body. So the memory is still alive during that period. We believe that after you shave the head, the memories of the whole life will be gone. So what is the reality in that concept?
Well, there's different Shapita, Tasa, Vidan. There's sanskaras, 10 types of sanskaras. So you're describing one of the sanskaras, the purificatory rites. It's like the first sanskara is called Garbhadan sanskara. The father and the mother, before the conception of a child, they perform a purificatory rite to purify their consciousness so that they create a spiritual environment, a purified environment for the new soul to come in. Not new soul, but the soul coming into there as child. And then that's purifying for the soul, for the soul coming in and also for the parents. And there's other samskaras. And like you described, name-giving, eating grains for the first time, and initiation and marriage, different sanskaras. These are all for purificatory rites. And they should be followed. But in Kali Yuga, the age we're in now, it's difficult for people to follow these rules and regulations. So Lord Chaitanya, Krishna has come again in the age of Kali as a devotee. Came as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. You have a picture of Lord Chaitanya? Maybe we'll find it. So Lord Chaitanya, he taught the science, the process for the age of Kali to get out of this entanglement. The process is very simple, chanting. Harinama, Harinama, Harinama Eva Kevalam, Kalo Nasteva 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 Kataranit. By chanting a Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, one gets all the benefits of performing all the Vedic rituals. He gets the benefit of going to all the holy places, taking bath in all the holy rivers, performing all the austerities, everything by chanting. He's made it easy. It's a shortcut method. And it works. Just by chanting Hare Krishna, one actually can get free from the entanglement of lust, anger, and greed. So, best thing is to practice chanting. Try to introduce the chanting to all the family members. And see the results. You don't have to take anybody's word for it. You can try it for a few weeks or a few months and see yourself whether it's worthwhile, whether your life has become better or not. I can attest that my life is better than it was by chanting. I think we have other people who would probably agree with that. Their lives have improved from chanting. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Maharaj. I have a question. While practicing Krishna consciousness, in the beginning, you don't get the taste of chanting. You're forced to chant, and at the same time, you're attached to material things as well, and you just can't do two things at one time. So the question is, how to get that determination, and the second thing is, how to be aloof from the material world. I mean, I know you have to do it Krishna conscious way, but doing it in a, in a pseudo, you still have that desire.
Yeah, well, the best thing, of course, is to put spiritual practices first. That's the best thing. That means your realization is strong, that I should take care of these spiritual things first, and then I take care of my material things, because Krishna wants that. But if we're not, we haven't realized that yet, still we're attached to the material things. But we're trying to add Krishna consciousness. That's also good. Try to add it as much as you can. And when you do it, try to do it with your full attention and concentration. And Krishna will help you. Yayatamam prapajate tangstataiva bhajamya. Krishna says, as they surrender to me, I reward them accordingly. So you're chanting, it may be difficult because you're thinking, I could be making money. Why am I chanting? I'm wasting my time here. Krishna consciousness is worth more than money. Millions of times more. Because money can't buy you happiness. Money can't buy you spiritual life. Money can't buy you peace of mind. Some of the richest people are the most unhappy people. So do your best. Try your best. Don't give up. I know this is an eternal process. So keep trying. And you'll get some realizations. I'm sure you're already getting some realizations. You know it's nice. But because of conditioning, when a person's addicted to something, even though he knows it's not good for them, it's hard to give it up. But with good association, you'll be able to give up your bad habits. Naturally, they'll fade away. It's like, for the Westerners, the first thing they were able to, generally they give up easily is meat eating. That one becomes, they realize, wait a minute, this is really gross, this is horrible. So they give that up, that's easy. And gambling is usually not so difficult. The other two are more difficult. But still, if they go on chanting, they'll get a higher taste. Param drishtvā nivartate. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, what is that verse? That's it, yeah. Yeah, translation. Embodied soul may be restricted from sense enjoyment, but the taste for sense objects remains. Ceasing such engagements by experiencing a higher taste is fixed in consciousness. So gradually you'll get free from these, because we're addicted. We've been addicted to material things since time immemorial, a long time. It's not easy to get free. But so chant as much as you can, as nicely as you can. Hear, associate with devotees. These are the processes, 9 processes of devotional service. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, Vishnu, Parasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Nivedam. You like going to festivals? When you're at a festival, you don't worry about these material things because it's so exciting, it's so nice. So Krishna, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, it's described that when Krishna entered Mathura, the women were standing on the rooftops and they saw Krishna. And they said, Krishna is a festival for the eyes. He's so beautiful. It's just a festival for the eyes. Like when you go to a festival, you're absorbed. So everything about Krishna is a festival. His eyes, his name, his food. So just keep trying. Krishna will help more and more.
Thank you for asking this question. I have a question to you. One of my friends was asking that when a soul gets transferred from one body to another body, so it reminds me that yamam vapis maram bhavam tajatvante kalyevaram tam tameva iti kauntaya sada padbhavata bhavata. So that means what you said is that the soul is going to transfer from one body to other body, but what are in his previous life, what are the sins that he carried, it's going to transfer to the new life. But coming to the part of his question, the question my friend was asking is that I didn't get the enjoyment. How does the soul gets enjoyed? That's my first question in the another life. And the second question is,
Maybe let's deal with the first question.
Huh?
We'll do with one question,
Okay.
then we'll go to the second. The living entity enjoys by his activities, because he earns. Just like if you work hard at your job and you're very dutiful, you get money and then you can buy a Lexus. So then you can enjoy the Lexus. If you don't work so much, you have to ride a bicycle. So, living entity in this life, if he performs pious activities, then he gets enjoyment in the next life. But that enjoyment, we have to qualify that enjoyment. It's not the highest enjoyment. It's a kind of a booby prize. Okay, second part.
Yeah, the second part is, everyone has a desire to attain moksha, for his soul. That means, attaining his soul to get into the Krishna. So that's it. But when does the person get realized that he is attaining Krishna? At what point in time? I know that the soul gets transferred to many forms. Maybe it can be in this life or a different, maybe the soul has taken 100 lives or maybe a millions lives. But does the soul ever get realized that I am attaining Krishna? But the desire is to attain Krishna. But when does the soul really get realized? That's my question.
Anya bilashita shunyam jnana karmadya navritam anakoyena Krishna nirshilana bhaktirutam. Pure devotional service is when one serves Krishna favorably, without desire for material enjoyment and speculation about becoming God. So in other words, when he's a pure devotee, then he gets, there's 9 stages that are described by Rupa Goswami. Adho Shraddha, in the beginning there's faith. Tata Sadhu Sangha, faith brings him to association with sadhus, saintly persons. Tato Bhajana Kriya, the saintly persons bring him to the feet of the spiritual master, then he becomes a disciple and carries out devotional service. Then Anartha Nivritti, the guru, teaches him how to give up bad habits, Anartha. Anartha Nivritti Syat Tato Nishta, and he becomes fixed in devotional service. He's not flickering anymore, he can be dependable. Tato Nishta Tata Ruchi, then he gets taste. Then he starts getting some bliss. In the beginning it's duty. It's duty because he knows I'm supposed to do this, and as you were saying, maybe I'm not getting as much taste as I would like. But that's a higher stage. So you're struggling on the Anartha Nivritti stage, or maybe even not on that stage, maybe the Sadhu Sangha stage. So you have to go up the stages, just like in your company. If you want to get up to the top executive, you have to work your way up. Crude example. So he's working his way up to ruchi, that's taste. Then, in the beginning, when we find out we have to get up early, we think, oh boy, getting up early. Oh, well, all right, I'll do it as a duty. But later, on a higher stage, he wants to get up early. How can I get up earlier to serve Krishna? He's getting taste. And ruchi tata, sakti, what is sakti? It means he's getting higher attachment, asakti. Tato bhava, bhava means ecstasy, and tato premna. Prema means love. That's the 9th stage. So that love of Krishna comes after working one's way up. The faith becomes stronger. Thank you.
Maharaj, I have a question. In this material world, there are millions of people who suffer without basic necessity of life. How is my service to Krishna, my chanting, any service to temple Krishna better than service to humanity? A simple service like feeding a hunger. How is serving Krishna better than small
Because
service?
Krishna he's the supplier, not you. You don't have anything to feed anybody with. You don't have anything. You don't own anything. He's the owner. And how, even if I gave you 5 tons of food, how would you distribute it? How would you go around and feed all the snakes and all the insects and all the humans? How would you feed them all? You would have a difficult time with that 5 tons of food. Oh, what are you giving? How can I feed this? But Krishna can do it effortlessly. He's feeding all the Nityo Nityanam, Chaitanas Chaitananam, Eko Bhavanam Yo Vididati Kama. Krishna is the one living entity that supplies the necessities of all the others. It's like, let's say you see a big tree, and some of the leaves are green, and some of the leaves are brown. And you think, oh, those poor brown leaves. I'm going to get a ladder, and I'm going to go up and I'm going to put water on each of those brown leaves. You get a ladder and you go up and you have your eyedropper and you're dropping water on each brown leaf. How many did you do today? I did 4,000 leaves today. Tomorrow I'm going to do another 4,000. What's the benefit? Did the brown leaves get green?
No.
Why not?
The root is not watered.
Yeah, you didn't know how to do it. So similarly, you don't know how to feed all the people. Krishna knows how to feed. Krishna is the root. If you put the water on the root, then you're feeding all the leaves. So if you serve Krishna, you're serving every living entity. He's the root. He's taking care of it. We're not doing anything. Yantaruda, what is it? Prakrite kriyamanani gunai sarvasi sarvashaha ahankara vimudharma kartahamiti manite. We're thinking we're doing it, but it's all being done by material nature, and that material nature is working under Krishna. So, you don't have the ability to serve, to feed them. You don't have the food to feed. Even if you fed them, what would you feed them with? You'd feed them with the food that Krishna gave to you. So if you're going to feed them with food that Krishna gave to you, make it prasadam, offer it to Krishna, then distribute the food to the poor people. That's very good service. That's service to Krishna. Service to Krishna means service to every living entity, because he's in super soul in all bodies. Just like you put the water on the brown leaves and they didn't get green, because you didn't know the process. The process is not to try to serve different parts of the body, but to serve. Put another example. Let's say somebody has a problem with his eyes. So you think, I heard that when you have problems with your eyes, you should take carrots. So you take some carrots, you grind them, and you put them in your eye. Does it help your eye? No, you become blind. But if you give the food to the stomach, then it helps your eye. So you have to serve Krishna, then you're helping every living entity. Otherwise you just cause more distress. Just like they invented this Narayan philosophy in India. That by serving poor people, they say they're Narayan. Narayan's not poor. And Narayan doesn't need your service. Not that type of service. He doesn't need your kripa. He needs your seva. Seva is for the supreme, for a superior you perform service. And kripa means mercy for those who are less fortunate. So Narayan is not in need of our kripa. So that's misunderstanding. He's taking care of everyone. You just assist him. Krishna's saying, become my servant, accompany me and assist me in my work of helping all living entities. So you just be his assistant, don't try to be the God. I'm supplying, I'm feeding all these people, and you become proud. But actually you're feeding them, it's all his food. So offer it to Krishna, then you're doing a service. That's what Krishna wants. So distribute prasadam. Okay? Yes?
How did you initially control your senses?
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Chanting. And prasadam. Take prasadam. You never want to eat outside again. Isn't it? Because prasadam is so tasty, spiritually satisfying. So all the activities of devotional service give one param drishtva nivartate, higher taste. So then he can give up the lower taste. It's like he said I was into athletics. So I was jumping and running and doing all these things. So then I found, okay, I can jump and dance and play mridanga and sing Hare Krishna. It satisfies the same way, but better. And I don't need these other things, running after balls. Like a dog, if you throw the ball, he runs after it. He finds pleasure in those type of things. But higher pleasure is chanting and dancing for Krishna. Okay, I think that's sufficient. You want to kirtan? One more question. I must have missed the point. I spoke all this about the difference between material pleasure and spiritual pleasure, and I missed the point. Okay, what was the question?
No, you already covered, but again, just to make sure. So people say that this world is for enjoyment. God has given us everything for our enjoyment.
And suffering. Don't forget that part. That's the answer. Don't forget the suffering part. In other words, be sensible, be intelligent. How much pleasure can we get for 100 years, and then we have to go through the cycle of all the suffering? Why not get onto the spiritual platform, get the spiritual pleasure? It's much greater. Even those who practice Krishna consciousness, they can give you the testimony that they've experienced both. That spiritual pleasure is better than material pleasure. When you're doing the right thing, don't you feel better than when you're... Did you ever steal something from a store? Maybe none of you ever did that, hopefully. I won't make anybody raise their hands or anything like that. But let's say you stole something from a store. You got a kind of exhilaration, but you feel guilty, and then you feel afraid that you might get caught. What if someone sees me wearing this clothes? They say, or maybe where they had a monitor. So it's not really enjoyment. It's a lot of suffering. But when you do the right thing, when you act properly according to God's plan, you feel good because you know God's pleased with you. Krishna's pleased. And He reciprocates. It's not that just theoretically. He actually reciprocates. God's real. Just like we go to the temple and we bow down before the deity and we serve the deity. Because Krishna is actually there in the deity form. And when you chant Hare Krishna, you're associating with Krishna. Okay? Thank you very much. Thank you.